What's going on, y'all? We are going to take a timeout on my 2026 positional rankings. It will resume tomorrow, and we are going to do a two-round NFL mock draft today. You might be wondering, is his screen messed up? Why are we already 10 picks through? We are going to be using Daniel Jeremiah's official top 10 picks in his final NFL mock draft, I believe, that he dropped I believe earlier today or last night on the Rich Eisen show. So yeah, we are going to be using DJ's top 10. We also will do trade since he opened that door for us with the seventh overall pick. But let's quickly review it. And then yes, picks 11 all the way to 64 are going to be in my control. So starting off number one, Fernando Mendoza, we know. Number two, he's sticking with the pick of David Bailey. Sounds like David Bailey's the odds-on favorite. He is on betting sites. Daniel Jeremiah has said it. Peter Schrager has said it. Everyone very tied into the league has said it. So it kind of feels like David Bailey might really be the number two pick. Number three, there's been a lot of talk that there's going to be a lot of trading heavily in the top of the draft. And I know the Cardinals are open to trading. And I know this was like a kind of a safe plan to take Francis Manoa for him, as it was reported by Matt Miller that one of their top executives is pushing for Jeremiah Love, another David Bailey, who's off the board, in the safe pick, but they'd like to move down, then do was Francis Manoa out of Miami. Maybe with all the hype of people like Caden Proctor, Monroe Freeling, hell, Spencer Fano, and this mock went sixth, maybe they don't feel confident they can do that anymore, so they stick at three and take Maui Noah. Number four, Arvel Reese. Man, what a fall this has been because at one point it felt guaranteed that Arvel Reese was going to be the number two pick. Then you would think if he was there at three, maybe someone trades up or the Cardinals take him. No, if he's here at four, the Titans are going to take him out, in my opinion. I know we all love the Jeremiah Love hype train. We all want him to be the fourth pick. Me personally, as y'all know on TikTok, I've been saying really for over a month now, if David Bailey or Arvel Reese are available at four, they will be the pick. They just make way too much sense for Robert Sala's scheme, and the overall edge room, I would say, is worse than the running back room. So if one of those guys is available, I do think they would be the pick, even with Jeremiah Love on the board. Number five, Sonny Styles. That's been a pick we've been doing really since the combine, so nothing to really talk about there. Makes a lot of sense to improve the linebacker room next to Tremaine Edmonds. Number six being Spencer Fano was one of the bigger shockers to me. I mean, clearly not the biggest out of all these moves, but I was like, that's interesting because I feel like if you look historically at what the Browns like at tackle, it normally is those big behemoths with a lot of upside. Obviously, Dwan Jones, um, like, I guess Jedrick Wills wasn't really that. Like, he was similar to Fano in a sense, but recently, I would say they have been lean even Titus Howard's a pretty big dude, so it's like they brought him in, and, yeah, I was kinda surprised because 1 there, like I said, there's a ton of talk about Caden Proctor. The Lions reportedly love him at 17, or maybe they're willing to trade up. The Browns apparently have been rumored to love him, which there's been talk about 6, not 24. So, to see Spencer Fano go there with the thought that he could potentially move to guard at the NFL level, and he is a primarily right tackle. Yeah, he started in 2023 at left tackle. The level of play was nowhere near as good. So I think you should consider that. So it was quite surprising to me to see Fano be the pick at six personally. Number seven, I figured if he was there, the Commanders would heavily think about taking him. But maybe with the rumors that Mekhi Lemon won't go top 15 and the Commanders now at 16 and 44 in this mock draft, maybe they do just trade the pick and give it to someone else to take Cardinal Tate. And I love the idea of the Jets trading 1644, and I think it was a fourth or maybe a third next year, which, if you know, they have like four picks in the first two rounds, three being first round picks in 2027. So I wouldn't lose sleep over losing that or my second round pick this year to secure a perfect wide receiver two opposite of Garrett Wilson. Number eight for the Saints. This was by far probably the biggest shock to me. It was Jordan Tyson. And Peter Schrager hinted on when he mocked Jordan Tyson 9 to the Chiefs. One GM was, or one executive, whatever it was like, oh, you think he's going to be there? But another one at the same time said, yeah, that dude's not going to go in the top 20. The medicals are too dirty. So he truly will, to me, be by far the most fascinating player to watch out for. I think his play style complements Chris Olave very well. But in terms of being available to pair him with Chris Olave, that is very scary with both those players' track records of injury. So it's a big time risk, but a big time reward in the same breath. Number nine, this really, I mean, if Jeremiah Love was here, it kind of surprised me that it wouldn't be Ruben Bain. We'll talk about him in a second. But yeah, I mean, I guess the more you think about it, like Brashard Smith isn't a long term solution, in my opinion. Obviously, Pacheco's gone. Kareem Hunt's still a free agent. So yeah, maybe it does make sense to replicate what Seattle had with Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker with Jeremiah Love and Kenneth Walker if he's available. My only problem is I'm pretty sure financially taking Jeremiah Love here and what you just paid Kenneth Walker, both those contracts I think land in the top 10 highest paid running backs in the league. And the Chiefs already have bad like cap problems. So it kind of surprised me, like I said, because I think Ruben Bain's a perfect fit, but I understand that it's great value on a great player falling just because two teams, being the Titans and Commanders, passed on him. It still would be interesting. And number 10 was Caleb Downs, which I was also a little surprised to see because the Bengals, if you don't know, they added to their safety room Kyle Duggar, which backup at this point in his career. Brian Cook is a significant player, but I think Caleb Downs pairs perfectly next to Brian Cook, so I understand that. And he can help in the box a lot where you're weak at linebacker. And but my thing was like Cam Taylor Britt, yes, he got benched. You still lost him. And from what I know, you haven't added anything to your corner room. Like you got Dax Hill, last year of his deal. DJ Turner last year of his deal. Jalen Davis is okay in the nickel. Jordan Battle is a safety nickel hybrid. So it was kind of intriguing to me that they didn't take the swing on first corner taken. But yeah, that was Daniel Jeremiah's. Y'all will let me know, but I'm pretty sure it's his final like mock, and he just dropped the top 10. I believe so. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started at number 11 for my Miami Dolphins. I guess right before we'll talk about Ruben Bain briefly because obviously the arm length has always been a concern of why he could potentially fall out of the top 10. Out of nowhere, news that apparently happened 2 years ago in 2024. Ruben Bain unfortunately got in a reckless driving accident. He was behind the wheel, I believe, and it sent the passenger, who was a 22-year-old female, into a coma. She 3 months later then lost her life tragically. So that's a very unfortunate situation. But from what I read, Ruben Bain, I'm pretty sure all charges have been dropped. Like he's not going to face like lawful like consequences, like he's getting off free and it's I guess deemed as an accident because I'm not like it wasn't like a DWI or a DUI or anything. He just I guess was driving a little too fast, got in an accident, and unfortunately obviously the girl with him lost her life. So very unfortunate situation. Brad Holmes, the Lion GM, kind of talked about it. He's like, yeah, we've known that for months. It's not going to affect like our draft strategy now. I think for the Dolphins, though, like it would be a great pickup. I can acknowledge that. I love Ruben Bain as a football player. Like if you could bring him or keep him in South Florida, I guess rather than like that's fantastic to add to chop in the defensive line. Maybe they stay clear, and the player I'm going to take 11th overall to kickstart this mock draft will be Mansour Delane, who I have not got to mock to my Dolphins in a while, mainly because he's normally never available. I understand they want to address offensive line. From what I'm hearing, the two they love, well, really, one, they love Spencer Vano reportedly, which makes sense if you look at how the Packers historically draft. And I'm guessing they would also love Maui Noah, but they just think he won't be there. So maybe that could speak a lot on the Dolphins not being interested trading up from 11 higher, potentially. But Mansour Delane, he was recruited out of high school by Jeff Hafley to come to Boston College. Obviously, he went to Virginia Tech. Honestly, wasn't that good in 2024. Transfers to LSU, and he's arguably the best corner in the nation. So quite the turnaround. Jeff Hafley has shown a liking to the player before. He fits the scheme well. He could either play nickel or boundary for the Dolphins. He is just definitely a floor, but also a ceiling elevator for the Dolphins secondary. Number 12, based on the Cowboys historically not caring about characters or really issues entering the draft, I will take Ruben Bain. It's been heavily rumored the Cowboys are interested in trading up in the draft to secure a top edge rusher or Sonny Styles. Ruben Bain has now fallen into your lap. You need the pass rush help. Rashawn Gary to me is probably going to be a 1 year rental. I think it makes a lot of sense here to pick up Ruben Bain and add him to the edge room. And especially, like I said, Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, traded for George Pickens, and multiple other players. Mozzie Smith had some like sort of issue other than just being bad at football in Dallas a good bit. So it's nothing new to the organization to take a player like this because of the talent. Number 13 for the LA Rams. This is a tough pick for me because based on everything like I've heard, like there's a common belief that two wide receivers are going in the top 15, which clearly was Tate and Tyson for Daniel Jeremiah, but Mekhi Lemon's not going to be one of them. So, in my opinion, based on the draft capital the Rams are currently slated at, having that huge over 100 pick gap from the third to the sixth round, I wouldn't mind shuffling around my draft capital a little bit and maybe allowing a team to come up for a top tackle. Whether could that be the Lions? They have a lot of day three capital, so I think they could at least call about it and ask. Could it, but also Monroe and Proctor are both available. I don't think you think there's three big threats here with all good tackles. Could the Cowboys jump back up? Terrence Steele's not great. Last year of his deal, hopefully. The Steelers, I mean, they have a problem at left tackle. The Eagles have a long-term problem at right tackle. Um, I think the direction I'm going to end up going here is going to be kind of out of left field, maybe potentially. I think I'm going to work a deal with the Carolina Panthers. Like, I will send 1983, 158. I'll give them back 252. And maybe we try to get that third round pick back. So two third round picks, a fifth in exchange for 13, and you know what? We'll give them 232. We'll give them a better seventh than that. So we'll go ahead, send this deal through, and the Carolina Panthers are going to jump up to select tight end Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. You might say, oh, why did you do that? Kenyon Sadiq wasn't going to go. I highly disagree. I think the Rams could look at him at 13 just based on the dynamic playmaker he is. The Ravens, I'm telling you right now, if he is there, there is a strong chance, especially if Jordan Tyson's not there, that they could take him at 14. The Bucks, even at 15, he's a better fit than K. Dotton for Zach Robinson's offense, and he's a different type of tight end, so he can play alongside K. Dotton, despite that 3-year deal. And the Vikings at 18, I think, could shock people if Kenyon Sadiq was there. So I don't think it's a guarantee. Sadiq is, I truthfully don't think he will make it to 19 based on how everyone is talking about him so far the past couple of weeks. Number 14 for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm just going to go ahead and take Olavega Ione, or Ioane, excuse me, out of Penn State. I mean, Vega is just a plug and play insert high floor elevator for the offensive line that wasn't good last year either, even with Tyler Linderbaum on the interior. So now you lose Linderbaum. You gain John Simpson back, which that's solid. But if your starting guards could be Vega and John Simpson, then maybe you add a center on day three or the third round potentially. I think you're really starting to cook something in Baltimore. All right, 15 for the Bucks. Like I said, I'm going to stick with the theme that they're not lying in this first round will have a good bit of trades. And I mean, the 49ers don't have the ammunition, but I would love if they could make a deal like this. The Bucks, I think, like a lot of us think it's probably like a Akeem Mesidor that's heading to Tampa to just be a win now player off the edge. I think the Eagles probably like Sadiq, Yawane, Thieneman, and Monroe Freeling, I would guess, are their four top options. They clearly know that Ioane's probably, or not Ioane, but excuse me, Freeling probably could come off the board at 17. I think Thieneman could come off the board at 16. And then it's like, are you going to see another window to trade up? I don't know if you will. So maybe you just go ahead and strike right here, right now. Thank God they updated it and got that fifth rounder to Green Bay. Um, would they send two thirds? Would they have to send two thirds? Would be my question. I don't want to give up like maximum capital. Like, could we do a 137 and 195 swap? And then maybe a future for. So it's like you give up a top that's a top 75 pick though. And based on what it costs from 16 to 7 to trade up, I'm not even sure this pick swap would be necessary. I mean, maybe it's not a future pick and it is this pick swap to get it done. Y'all can play around with the details. I mean, obviously, if someone wants to move up and someone wants to move down, there a deal will be made, most likely. I mean, it's not that hard to agree on terms when it comes to draft capital and pick swaps, in my opinion. So 15, the Eagles are going to move up to select Monroe Freeling out of Georgia. The rumor around town is the offensive tackles are going to go very high. Even Proctor, I think, could be going by the 15th pick. So if Monroe and Proctor are going, I think the Bucks present a pretty good opportunity to, if where you prefer one over the other, this is your chance to go grab them because Tampa doesn't have much leverage picking at 15, in my opinion. So Freeling will be the pick, 15th overall, to be the long term Lane Johnson replacement, who he does have experience at right tackle as well, over nearly 300 snaps. All right, 16 for the Commanders. Like I said, traded down. They got pick 44. I'm just going to go ahead and take Mekhi Lemon. Like, he gets a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown comparisons. Can you guess who the Commanders' offense coordinator is? It's David Blau. Where did David Blau play football a couple years ago? Oh, with the Lions when Amon Ra was arguably a top three, top five receiver in the league statistically. So, I mean, he knows how effective a great slot receiver can be on an offense. You really don't have that, in my opinion, with Jalen Lane. So go ahead, add Makai to the weapon room, pick up that second round pick, and I think you actually did have a great start to the draft via that trade. All right, 17 for the Detroit Lions. We're going to go ahead and take Caden Proctor. Like I said, whether you like him or not, to me, it just sounds like Caden Proctor is going to end up being a top 20 pick in the draft. So if he's here 17th overall, I think it makes too much sense to replace Taylor Decker, get a big, athletic, young tackle. And the Lions typically do develop offensive line pretty well as of recently. So I feel pretty confident with Proctor landing in Detroit. 18 for the Vikings. See, Dylan Thienemann's a popular pick, but if Jermod McCoy fell here, I think Jermod McCoy would be the pick. I mean, I think he just makes simply way too much sense for the Vikings to go ahead and take here. Your corner room really is not that great. Like you brought in James Pierre, which I thought was a great signing for a cheap 2 year deal, but it's backup money. You have Byron Murphy, you have Isaiah Rogers, both those guys' contracts in very soon. Jermod McCoy's got one of the highest ceiling, if not the highest, out of any corner in the draft. He just ran a 4.38 and tested like a monster post ACL recovery. So it's like it is pretty exceptional value in my opinion if he did fall to the 18th pick, despite that injury causing him to miss all of last year. 19 for the LA Rams. I think I mean, Dylan Thieneman really would interest me because apparently they still are looking to add in the secondary. But I mean, you do have Cam Kinchins, you have Quentin Lake who plays a lot of nickel but can play safety. You brought back Cam Curl. So it's like it would almost be overkill. I think Omar Cooper Jr. is a perfect fit for this offense. There's a lot of steam about him going 16th overall to the Jets if the Jets do not trade up, obviously. So, yeah, I think if Omar Cooper's here, he probably makes a lot of sense based on all the same reasons y'all like Makai Lemon to the Rams, including myself. I like the idea too, so I'm not singling y'all out. I'm just saying we all are in agreement. Oh, yeah, Makai Lemon's a good fit. The yak ability, great hands, good route runner. Omar Cooper Jr. does all that stuff too, but he could allow you to get potentially a couple extra draft picks that you could really use for the sake of quantity. 20 for the Dallas Cowboys. Got Ruben Bain Jr. I think I'm probably just going to stick with this best player available mindset. I mean, they did bring in Jalen Thompson, but like Malik Hooker is not there for the long term. And it's like Thieneman is so damn good that, yeah, I don't think I'm willing to pass on him. I thought about Colton Hood. That would have been the other name, just because I think he has a very good profile for the type of system Vic Fangio and the Eagles ran. If you don't know, Christian Parker from the Eagles, the DB's coach, is now in Dallas as the D coordinator. So I thought that could have been a pretty good fit for them. But I think Dylan Thienemann's probably just a safer, better player as of right now and can help you contribute to winning more games right now rather than in the future. I also think Thienemann's just a better player. Like he's a borderline top 12 grade for me. Colton Hood's like number 27 on my big board. So Thieneman definitely over regardless of positional value. 21 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a weird one because, like, if Omar Cooper Jr. is gone, Makai Lemon's gone, Jordan Tyson's gone, Vega Ioane's gone, like, you could say, okay, you don't like anything, trade the pick. Well, that's also a problem because they have more draft capital than they can handle. So it's like, are you like 12 picks. Like you're not going to add more this year. I mean, you could look to add another top 100 pick next year. Yeah, that's a possibility. You know what? Maybe I'll do some pick swaps. And funny enough, the team PFF suggested is the spot I would actually like to do this deal. So I'll give them the big point here is going to be the 3 next year because you have extra from the McDuffie trade. I'm trying to make this work. I guess it would be 74 as a leverage pawn, and then maybe you send 99 and 135. I mean, for the hell of it, I'd probably like to get rid of one of these selections. I know that might sound weird, but at the end of the day, these are all draft picks that you have to pay these players contracts and guaranteed contracts at that for some of them. I get the later picks aren't going to be guaranteed, but some of the money is, like I can promise you that. So you're essentially flushing money down the toilet if you spend 12 picks and you know only 8 guys will make your team. So I'm going to go ahead and send this deal through. So the Steelers will get 29, 74, and a 3 next year in exchange for 21. They moved in 99 up to 74. They essentially flipped 135 to a 3 next year. And then they picked up or gave away a 7th round selection just for the sake of not really being able to use it, I guess. We got Jeremiah Love, 9th overall. Like I said, very interesting approach, excuse me, by DJ. I moved up for a player I just talked about. It would be Colton Hood for me. Avion Terrell would be a better Trent McDuffie replacement, but at the end of the day, you also lost Jalen Watson. And you brought in Cater Kohu, who's a nickel dominant corner. Christian Fulton can do a little bit of both. Same with Noah Williams. I'm looking for a true boundary guy that is very physical, pretty athletic. Colton Hood is definitely the guy for that mold. I mean, he ran in the 4.4s. He's what, 6 foot, 6'1, 190, 195. Like I said, the tackling around the line of scrimmage is probably the best in the class at corner. So if he's Colton Hood also is attending the draft, so I feel like he has a good word from his agent that he's going to go in the first round, and I think it's going to be higher than what some of y'all might think. So Colton Hood will be the 21st pick. All right, 22 for the Chargers. We are going to see another trade here for another player that I don't even know if he'll make it out of the top 20. So the Dolphins are going to send 30, 75, and 151, a trade I've done before on lives y'all are familiar with. And the Dolphins will move up 8 spots, give away one of their 4 thirds and their only fifth in order to secure, like I said, took Mansour Delane 11th overall. Now we are going to grab Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. And I know a lot of people do not like Keldrick Falk. He had 2 sacks this past season. He had 7 the year before. Oh, he's not a developed pass rusher. He is 20 years old, which is way younger than a lot of these prospects that y'all love off the edge. So it's like, I don't know. He's 6'6, 275 pounds. He's a good athlete. He's got solid bend for being that big. He's versatile, is perfect for Jeff Hafley's system in terms being able to be an interior D end, but also being able to be an outside backer. He is arguably the best run defender in the class. Definitely at edge, in my opinion. So, I mean, some team's going to take Keldrick Falk high, whether you like it or not. I just think it might be even higher than 20. I can't say it would actually shock me if Fano was gone and the Dolphins took Falk outright at 11th overall. So you should probably be thankful I decided to trade back up rather than just taking him at 11. 23 for the Tampa Bay Bucks. The writing's on the wall. Like Akeem Mesidor makes a lot of sense. He's a good scheme fit. Todd Bowles is trying to keep his job. He is a great run defender. He is also an awesome pass rusher, which is largely due. He's older than a lot of people. He's going to be 25 later this year. But that won't really matter, in my opinion, for the Bucks because Todd Bowles might not be around the next time he's signing or trying to sign an extension when he's 28, 29 years old. So I feel fine. He's going to be an immediate impact. You're trying to win now. You're trying to win your division again. I think he makes sense. All right, 24 for the Cleveland Browns. Got Spencer Fano. It Even though I don't love the wide receiver value here, it does feel like Boston and Concepcion could be first round picks. Concepcion more than Boston, in my opinion. Um, and I mean Isaiah Bond somewhat does stuff similar, but nowhere to this level. And Bond also is a UDFA, so I think I'm gonna give Shador a weapon, kind of similar to what he had in college with like Lejante Wester, except this is Lejante Wester on steroids and horse tranquilizer. So we're gonna go with Casey Concepcion here, 24th overall to add a playmaker that can just be a weapon with the ball in his hands, similar to, I guess, kind of like a faster Zay Flowers. Probably, I mean, I don't know. Concepcion's good after the catch. Problem is, he doesn't catch the ball consistently. All right, 25 for the Bears. I know everyone and their mother loves Emmanuel McNeil Warren here, including me. But I think if the Bears have their choice of first defensive tackle off the board, considering how much more valuable and how much more money the top defensive tackles make over safety, I think they'd probably lean taking Caden Proctor over Emmanuel McNeil Warren here to fix their defensive front that is not the best currently. So we're going to go McDonald here, 25th overall to the Bears. 26 for the Bills. DJ did one trade. I did 13 and 19. I did 15 and 23. That's two. I did 21 and 29, 22 and 34. So this is probably going to be my fifth and last trade, personally. And like I said, the normal range for amount of trades in the first, I feel like recently has fell between 4 to 6. So this would, I believe, be what, the sixth trade, including Daniel Jeremiah's. So we are going to go ahead and see the Cardinals make a move up here to secure a quarterback, and it is really going to be a pick swap in the Bills, really. The Bills will move back. Maybe it is just a pick swap. Like, I wouldn't mind giving them this because they really could use it. So you move 168 up to 104. That's great. You move 91 up to 65. That's not bad. Maybe we also try to grab a fourth next year and go ahead and send this bad boy through. And the Cardinals walked away with their franchise right tackle. They are now going to hope they walked away with their franchise quarterback. Ty Simpson is attending the draft. I don't know if he'll go in the first round. He could be Will Levis all over again, where he sits there and then he's one of the first picks off the board in the second round. So you really never know. I think it could make sense. Like the Jets are also breathing down your neck. I think there's a chance they would also be willing to take a shot. I don't feel like they feel as rushed, and I think the Cardinals are a way better situation for a quarterback potentially just with an offensive minded head coach. Now you hope you have two franchise tackles. You got a solid left guard through free agency. You got a decent center, but the weapons are really good. You got Trey McBride, you got Michael Wilson, you got Marvin Harrison, you got Tyler Algier, Trey Benson, and James Conner in the backfield. Like you have a good infrastructure on the offense side of the ball to where it could set up Ty Simpson for success. All right, 27 for the 49ers. The word around town is the Niners really like Concepcion. I'm going to kind of go off the walls here because a very popular pick for me is Caleb Lomu because he's a natural left side of the offensive line player. He could project better as a guard. I'm going to say we have confidence we can fix things with Trent Williams and keep him one more year. I'm going to take one of the biggest home run swings in the draft and take Maxi Inácio out of Arizona State, move him over to left tackle, and just have him sit for a year and soak up as much knowledge and just overall better his game for a year. And then, boom, Trent Williams, you are now gone when you're what, going to be 38, 39 next year. And Maxi Inácio can be our starting left tackle the next 4 years, hopefully under contract. Then we'll extend him. He's also one of the younger players in the draft. I believe he's 21. So I think it makes a lot of sense to invest in the future of your team, especially because you have a older roster. So I would take the Eagles approach rather than trying to still compete and draft needs before they are needs. So if you know Trent Williams, even if things get fixed, he'll be gone next year. Why not get one of the highest upside tackles in the class and have them learn behind Trent Williams, who's one of the best tackles to ever play football? I think that kind of makes sense in my opinion. 28 for the Houston Texans. Where do we want to go here? Blake Miller does intrigue me. It definitely does to try to get a franchise right tackle, but I'm also probably prioritizing trying to fix the interior defense line. I'm going to go Peter Woods out of Clemson right here to improve the D line. And yeah, I mean, just get more plug and play starters that can help you right now in this Super Bowl window you're trying to approach. You brought in a ton of solid veterans on the offensive line, mainly Wyatt Teller and Braden Smith. Evan Brown's a good backup to have. Trent Brown's a good backup to have. So, yeah, I like the approach for the Texans this offseason, but with a guy like Peter Woods ceiling on the board, I don't mind taking that swing, saying, hey, he can bounce back from what happened last year. All right, 29 for the Steelers. I really don't feel like Ty Simpson, I guess you would have thought about Concepcion. I don't feel like I missed a lot of what I would have been looking at. Avion Terrell intrigues me a lot to be a plug and play starter in the nickel. I would start to think about taking the second linebacker if you have a guy you prefer. I think the way we're going to take this, though, I don't think any of these guys are a good fit at all in terms of what I'm looking for in wide receiver. I do like Emmanuel Pregnon. He'd be a good plug and play Isaac Somala replacement at left guard. That is a real issue for me right now with the Steelers' current roster. So I'm not hearing a ton of hype that Pregnon's going to go in the first round. He really only has one good year of tape, which was this year, clearly, if he's being mocked in the first round in some mocks. And he is an older prospect. He's already 24. He's got great power and great athleticism. And I feel like those two things tend to translate, excuse me, well to the NFL. So I don't mind, even with the age, getting a starting plug and play left guard in Pittsburgh, considering you lost Somalo, who's one of your better offensive linemen. 30 for the LA Chargers. I know the popular pick, man, CJ Parker's here. That's kind of hard to pass on. I do kind of want to throw a curveball and take Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I think that'd be really fun. Derwin James obviously plays a lot in the box and the nickel. EMW can do similar stuff, but mainly be at the top of your defense with Elijah Molden. So I thought that could have been a fun fit. Maybe you get a Walmart version of that with like Genesis Smith in the third round or Zakee Wheatley. I don't think I can pass on TJ Parker at this point in the draft. I really can't justify doing it personally. I mean, to me, it just makes way too much sense if he's here. This is your Odafe replacement. He can defend the run at a high level immediately, take pressure off Khalil Mack to let him do what he did last year in terms of being a DPR once Odafe was added. So and I mean, he also had that top five, top 10 pedigree entering the year. So you clearly know the upsides there, just like every Clemson defensive lineman. He had a down year, and I would blame that probably on the scheme more than the talent, all just choosing to fail, especially Parker, because Parker dominated at the Senior Bowl when he was down there at Mobile. All right, 31 for the Patriots. I'm convinced A.J. Brown's Patriot. Like, Blake Miller, I guess, intrigues me the most. Ian Ochor clearly just went off the board, so Blake Miller, I don't even know if we'll make it out the top 25 in real life. Surprisingly, I wouldn't take him that high, but it's just kind of the word around town. Um, I really don't want to take him. Like, real quick, let's peep the Patriots depth chart because I'm kind of like Emmanuel McNeil Warren's pretty good value at this point in the draft. Like, Kevin Byard's probably a 1 year rental. Craig Woodson was awesome last year. Like Brendan Schooler, I don't care about. Del Pettis, I don't care about. You traded Marte Mapu, who's like the big athlete that could play safety and linebacker. Yeah, I think I'm going to throw a curveball in here, and the Patriots are going to go Emmanuel McNeil Warren, arguably the best player on the board here to just get and be a third guy that can rotate in. He can kind of do like what Nicky Memori did for the Seahawks last year in terms of just playing all over the place and where you need him. And I think the Patriots definitely have one of the better defensive staffs in the league, led by Mike Vrabel, and they can figure it out, certainly, with a player this talented. All right, 32 for the Seahawks. We're going to see my final trade. The Seahawks literally have 4 picks in the draft, which y'all can't see it's cut off, but the Houston Texans are going to be the team trading up. They have 4 top 75 picks. So if I give up 106 and 167 to move up 6 spots to secure my franchise right tackle, spoiler, that's a done deal. And if I'm Seattle, I see a lot of stuff I like on the board. So if they're willing to give up nearly a top 100 pick at 106 plus another pick at 167, like, yeah, that's a done deal, man. I'll get one of these corners or whatever I want at 38 that I like. All right, round two. The Jets, David Bailey, Cardinal Tate. This will be their last pick because they traded up for Cardinal Tate. And it's like, I want to improve guard pretty bad. I don't think I can pass on a player of Avion Terrell's skill at the 33rd pick. I mean, there is a plug and play starter in your secondary. This puts your future trio, in my opinion, as Avion Terrell, Jarvis Brownlee, and Azarie Thomas. A lot of versatility in that room, especially with Terrell and Brownlee both being able to play in the nickel and on the boundary. Nashawn Wright's there on a cheap 1 year deal that's like backup money. Uh, Brandon Stevens has been one of the worst starting corners over the past couple of years. So it's like, I don't think it's an issue adding a player Terrell's skill set to your secondary because of you already have four corners, but really, in reality, you have two that you really like. 34 for the Buffalo Bills. Denzel Boston intrigues me because that could like be rewriting your wrongs of what went wrong with Keon Coleman. But in the same breath, the linebackers were a big letdown for the defense, and I think Jacob Rodriguez would be a perfect Matt Milano replacement. Just a turnover machine, pretty good athleticism too, for what a lot of us thought, scoring over a 9 RAS score. So Jacob Rodriguez just a baller, man. Like I think he's one of the most underrated players, and it's crazy to say that about someone that was a top 5 Heisman vote getter. But like I've never seen a linebacker that is so judged by being 6'1" in my life. Like, who the hell cares? He had 10 turnovers forced and blew the combine out the water. Like, why do the Senior Bowl even he dominated at? Like, the dude is just clearly a great football player that is going to be looked back at in a couple years. And how did he fall? I don't know. I would have been taking him in the first round. So if he's here at 34, I think it's a steal for the Bills. 35 for the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to go ahead and grab Denzel Boston here. You address your edge position, which props to you. Keelan Rutledge and Chase Besantis were a small thought in the back of my head when I was just looking at the pick. I think Boston makes too much sense. Boston, true boundary guy. Mainer's a fun weapon to keep developing. Wandale's a dominant slot guy. Calvin Ridley is probably their max one more year. And Chimere DK is going to make his money as a special teamer at the NFL level. So you really don't have a guy at Boston's skill set on your offense. So I think getting him here at 35 isn't a bad deal at all. 36 for the Raiders, Scott Fernando Mendoza. There's a lot of talk about the Raiders taking offensive line and receiver. I'm going to go Caleb Lomu. And while I understand you have Colton Miller, there's been talks in the past about moving off of Colton Miller. I'm not saying you will, but Lomu also potentially could make the switch to right tackle and battle with Charles Grant. Or what I'd probably do, I'd go Colton Miller left tackle, Lomu left guard, Linderbaum center, Jackson Powers Johnson right guard, Charles Grant right tackle. There's your starting five with a player like Caleb Rogers as a backup who can fill in. But you also have a starting guard that can play tackle if one of your tackles goes down. It just offers so much flexibility and versatility to your offensive line. I think it makes too much sense if he's here, which he might not be. Maybe he's first round pick. Maybe the Niners do take him as a plug and play starter. Maybe the Browns take him at 24 if they miss out on all the tackles and went receiver early. Who knows? 37 for the Giants. You got Sonny Styles, 5th overall. There's multiple things I'm looking at. Like, I think Chris Bell would be a good addition, but do you want to take a receiver that's still recovering from ACL tear 37th? Maybe not. Chris Brazzell could be a fun deep field threat, but do you want to take him this early? Maybe not. Um, do you want to double dip on defense and go with like a Brandon Cisse, a Chris Johnson here? Potentially. I think I'd have interest in doing that because like Paulson and Debo's solid. Uh Greg Newsome was very bad for Jacksonville, so who knows if he's going to bounce back. Drew Phillips, I wouldn't say had his best year ever last year in the nickel, so I think there are a lot of question marks there. So I'd at least keep it on the table. I think the route I'm going to go, and it's largely due to how John Harbaugh's talked all offseason, I'm going to go. We're going to go Chase Besantis this time. I like the fact Keelan Rutledge is a natural right guard and can play there. NFL teams typically do not tend to care. They just take the best overall one. I think personally the NFL will probably view Besantis higher than Rutledge. Bless me. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. I personally like Rutledge more, so maybe the NFL actually does more. I've just seen more hype personally of Besantis going higher, so that's why I leaned with them. And Rutledge damn near had to get his foot amputated over a year ago before this past season because of an accident. So maybe that could scare. I personally wouldn't scare me because he looked like a great athlete at the combine and all last season for Georgia Tech. So who knows? All right, 38 for the Seahawks. This is a tough pick. It really is because I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Zion Young to me, like that is a perfect addition, that can be your edge three to replace Boye Mafe and take his 55% of snaps he vacated by going to Cincinnati. But I think he could also learn a lot from a player like Demarcus Lawrence and keep developing his game, which I think he's already fantastic. So that's very intriguing to me. But Brandon Cisse has always been my dude to Seattle. I think he's a perfect boundary corner. He's very athletic. Like, you don't have a ton of pressure to need him immediately. Obviously, with Witherspoon, Josh Jobe, Nicky Memori has been playing a lot in the slot. You brought in Noah Igbenogany, but I think for the long term in that secondary, I do like Cisse a lot, but damn, I think I'm going Zion Young. I think it just makes too much sense to get an immediate playmaker to replace such a big loss snap percentage wise in Boye Mafe. So Zion Young will be the pick. 39 for the Browns. Got Spencer Fano and Casey Concepcion. Um, I think I'm going to take the player I just talked about. I think I just go Brandon Cisse. I don't know what Denzel Ward's status in Cleveland is long term. Maybe they could hold him for 2 or 3 more years. Maybe this is his final year. I don't know. I know also I don't personally like Miles Harden a ton in the nickel. So if you want to move Cisse there to, which is more, I feel like a friendly position for corners when they first hit the NFL, that's also an option. Tyson Campbell's good, young, like him on the boundary. So I think it just offers a lot of flexibility in your secondary. And Cisse also needs to develop. So if he's not starting immediately, I wouldn't lose sleep over it. So I think this is a good investment for the future of your team. 40 for the Chiefs. Last pick got Jeremiah Love, got Colton Hood. We are going to go ahead and select Derek Moore, who is one of my favorite pass rushers in the draft. I think he's super underrated. If Derek Moore is here at 40, I think it makes a lot of sense. He's a good scheme fit for Spags defense. He's a great run defender, but also had 11 sacks this past year. He tore up the Senior Bowl. In my opinion, he would have tore up the combine as well if he didn't suffer a hamstring injury before and not participate. So I think Derek Moore is just a very good fit for that defensive front opposite of Carl Loftus. All right, 41 for the Bengals. This is an interesting pick because you got Caleb Downs at 10. And while I would like to pick Jake Golday, I feel like Duggar and Downs play enough in the box to where maybe you could push off linebacker, but you could also keep it open. So, like, honestly, Cisse was probably the player I was looking for to add to the secondary. I don't see them liking a player like D'Angelo Bonds with how heavy they are on the height, weight, athleticism freaks trio. Like, I don't know if they'll like Bonds, even though he's a great athlete because he's 5'8". I think the route. But then again, like you got people like Christian Miller out of Georgia are still here. Caleb Banks is here. So it's like I feel like I'm selling myself short by taking Jake Golday almost, but Jake Golday is a good impact player now. I think the Bengals are going to Bengal eventually. No disrespect, Bengal fans, but y'all know. It has worked out before with like Amarius Mims. It has also not worked out so far with Shamar Stewart and like Miles Murphy. So they have a strong history of taking big athletic defensive and offensive linemen. Caleb Banks has some of the best length in the class. He's one of the best athletes. He honestly has good tape as well. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. So if he's here at 41, I think you're going to have a hard time getting the Bengals off this pick, especially if there's potentially no corner they love and Jake Golday is the other option, but they already took a heavy box safety. 42 for the Saints. Got Jordan Tyson at 8. I think I'm going to go ahead and just take Chris Johnson to replace Alante Taylor. Like, it's a true boundary corner. One of my favorite prospects in the draft. I think he's severely underrated. The athleticism's good, 4.4 speed. The overall size is good. Like, the arm length's good. Then you watch the tape, and he looks like one of the best corners in the class. And his numbers are arguably better than anyone. And I don't care he played at San Diego State. I had that same argument when Quinion Mitchell came out. Oh, he's a Toledo player. Why do look at who he's playing against? It doesn't matter. He also looked good at the Senior Bowl against top competition, so there's that as well. So Chris Johnson's just a clear stud to me. I think the NFL is getting this one wrong. I would spend a first round pick on him, and I will stay on that statement until the end of time. So yeah, if he's here at 42, I think that's a steal for the Saints. All right, 43 for the Dolphins. It's weird. I normally always start with Spencer Fano, so it's like I'm probably not looking at double dipping on the secondary at safety. I love AJ Halsey, and I think it'd be cool to pair him back up with the lane, but probably not going to do that here. Keelan Rutledge is a plug and play starting guard, and they got to fix the offensive line. There's no more real tackle talent available. Maybe they could like Jennings Dunker because he has played tackle. I'm going to go Keelan Rutledge, though. That is a plug and play starting right guard. You got to improve that position. It is terrible right now. Your starting guards are Jonas Savaitinaya, who I still have faith in, and I'm going to hold out faith that he can develop, and Jamari Sawyer, who has been really a career backup for the Chargers. So I don't feel good about the guard at all in Miami. So Keelan Rutledge, natural right guard, plug and play starter. I'm all in. All right, 44 for the Commanders. Got Makai Lemon at 16. Part of me is intrigued by AJ Halsey. The corner's probably just not the type I'm looking for with Abney and Bonds. I don't want to take a center. This is a weird pick. Maybe you shouldn't do that trade. No, I'm just kidding. But like seriously, it is a awkward pick to be at. Like you're paying Javon Kinlaw. You got Jerzon Newton. You still got Deron Payne around. Like Kristen Miller would be fun for the future of the team. I don't know if you'll pull the trigger this early. Tight end, no. Running back, maybe. Like Jadarian Price would be a fun weapon, but probably no. But you just can't add another nickel. You can't. It's not even a question that I'm open to talking about. AJ Halsey's strong safety. You brought in Nick Cross. You brought in Odafe Owe, who you're hoping is a long term solution. Like other than that, like hey, Levon Chaseon's probably not. Dorrance Armstrong's probably not, even though he's been there a couple years. Like Charles Omenihu's probably not. This is a tough pick. I like Gabe Akis's like power profile to add some more size off the edge. This pick sucks. Like, it really does. Dude, I'm very tempted to take Jadarian Price. I'm sorry for the holdup, but like linebacker, you got Leo Chenal and Frankie Louvu. Maybe you could add a third one. I don't feel pressure to, especially the value's not good. I think Deron Payne's time in Washington is probably going to be up here soon. I don't think Javon Kinlaw's a good football player. I'm going to go with Kristen Miller out of Georgia, who I really thought about for my Dolphins, the last pick, for the same reason with Zach Sealer. I don't think he's in Miami too much longer. Shout out my guy Zach, love him to death. But like, I don't think it'd be a problem taking a guy with this high of a ceiling that I have a top 25 grade on personally, and he's here in the mid second, and you have some aging D tackles that are on their way out. I don't see a problem with it. All right, 45 for the Ravens. Got Vega Ioane at 14. I'm going to kind of Raven this pick up with Chris Bell. The Ravens have never been scared to take players entering the draft injured, especially if they fall to where is deemed good value considering what they were before the injuries, which this certainly is for Bell because he was thought to be a first round pick. So, yeah, if he's here at 45, it's really what you're looking for. It offers speed on the boundary, but also size and physicality that you really don't have. So, I think Chris Bell could be a phenomenal long term investment for the Ravens. 46 for the Bucks. Got Akeem Mesidor. The guards are gone. I think I'm going to go ahead and add some linebacker help here, and we are going to go with another plug and play older prospect that's pro ready at what 23, nearly 24 years old with Jake Golday out of Cincinnati. I think he's a perfect Jack Campbell kind of esque player, just with a ton of athleticism that can play next to Anzalone. So yeah, a guy that can just roam around the field, make a ton of tackles, and be a playmaker for you. I think that's a good pickup for the Bucks defense once again. 47 for the Colts. Lee Hunter intrigues me because DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart, I think, are both on their way out soon. That linebacker room is just so damn bad, and I think the athleticism profile is going to have Chris Ballard jumping out his chair with Ant Hill running nearly a 4.5 at, or running close to a 4.5 at what 240 pounds, but he's also 6'2" and he's lengthy, and he's also only 21. Like That to me is a great long-term investment for the Colts. Once again, I keep hate using the same frame, but really, he's one of the younger players in the class. His 24 tape was great. He was still good in 25, but if he repeated 24, he might have been a first round pick in my eyes. 48 for the Falcons. Like D'Angelo Pons would be a really fun oh my gosh, I'm blanking. D. Alford replacement. Maybe you trust Billy Bowman to do that. David Onyemata to me was a pretty significant loss. To me, I probably just take Lee Hunter here out of Texas Tech to get a plug and play starting nose tackle in between Ruka Rororo and Brandon Dorless. 49 for the Vikings. I'm 100% going Jadarian Price. Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. That backfield was terrible last year. Couldn't have went really any worse in my opinion. So getting a player with Price's upside here to be hopefully your starting running back, I think is an awesome pickup. 50 for the Lions. I want to invest in the pass rush. The Lions have really never had a problem with short arms. Aiden Hutchinson would be the best example with how good he's turned out. I think the same could happen with Cassius Howe out at Texas A&M here, 50th overall, if he does fall to this point. I mean, I guess like even I have Howe higher than 50, and I'm kind of down on him. Some people still think he's first round pick. I don't think that's true at all, but he would be a perfect Al Qadim Muhammad replacement, which vacated 12 sacks this past year with him heading to Tampa. But I don't think it's crazy in that type of role that Cash Sal couldn't get you the 12 sacks right back, even as a rookie. 51 for the Panthers, traded up for Kenyon Sadiq. Panther fans, I apologize, but D'Angelo Pons is simply too good to be available at this point, regardless of being 5'8". If he's here, man, it is literally a perfect starting nickel in between J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson. You're trying to win your division and win some playoff games now that you made it to the playoffs. Pons and Sadiq could help you more than really any two realistic prospects in the draft, in my opinion. 52 for the Packers. Keith Abney is here, and Keith Abney would interest me. I think the Packers would fall in love with Malachi Lawrence if he was here. There's a thought Malachi Lawrence could go in the top 40, and I understand why, and he's close to a top 40 grade for me. But yeah, I mean, he's got the Kingsley and Agbari size profile, 6'4", 255. He's not the oldest player in the world. Like I think he just turned 23, I believe. He's got long arms. He's arguably the most athletic edge in the class. I think if he was here, it might just be a done deal for the Pack. 53 for the Steelers, took Emmanuel Pregnon at 29. We got 74, 76, and 85 in this alternate universe. I think I'd rather just grab Keith Abney here rather than forcing a wide receiver to play in the slot. Even though I think Zachariah Branch is a great option, I just think Abney is a significantly better player. And I also see a clear role for him to play in the nickel on defense to replace Brandon Eccles. So if Abney's here, I think that's a fantastic pickup for the Steelers secondary. 54 for the Eagles, traded up, selected Monroe Freeling, lost 68. Gabe Akis' power profile off the edge has me really intrigued to replace Jalen Phillips. I think AJ Halsey just being a Reed Blankenship replacement, 6 foot, 220, decent enough athlete considering how hard he hits people and having great ball production with 8 interceptions over the past 2 years. I think that's once again just a Howie Roseman masterpiece in the draft. 55 for the Chargers, took TJ Parker. I'm going to go ahead and Jonas Savati Naya up this pick and take Jennings Dunker, right tackle in college, moving to left guard. Granted, at least Savati Naya had experience everywhere. Dunker has no experience anywhere else. But at the end of the day, he projects as interior offense lineman to begin with. So if your starting guards are Trevor Penning and Cole Strange, he's going to take one of their jobs. I can promise you that. 56 for the Jaguars. I think CJ Allen's a pretty good Devin Lloyd replacement in terms of just plug and play linebacker. I'm much lower on CJ Allen than the consensus, but this is to me a perfect range for him to go to and a perfect role for him next to Foye Aludekun to just be that really Mike leader linebacker that is very good around the line of scrimmage and a great tackler. 57 for the Bears, even though he vacates a lot of athleticism to what Devin Lloyd has. But 57 to the Bears, you got Caden McDonald. I love Gabe Akis. I think he's a perfect fit for Dennis Allen's defense, but I will go ahead and grab. Like, I like trading Stooks, but I almost feel like Jalen Kilgore is arguably a better fit. I think Stooks is the better, but I'm going trading Stooks. He reminds me a lot of Kobe Bryant, who you signed this offseason. So another versatile DB that if injuries come, I think I trust him on the boundary enough to start a couple games. I think he could be best in the nickel, so maybe that could open the door on Tariq Stevenson or Kyler Gordon going long term. But also, I trust him playing over top of the defense at safety. So I just think he's too versatile to pass on, considering how many safeties you lost with Jonathan Owens, Jaquan Brisker, and Kevin Byard all leaving. 58 for the 49ers. Got Maxi and Acho. My favorite fit in the draft for the Niners is Chris Brazzell in the second round. He's exactly what you need. You got a couple slot receivers with Ricky Pearsall and Christian Kirk. This is a true boundary receiver, but also doesn't lack speed with running a 4.37 at 6'4". So it's like a player that is that big, but that fast, but also a pretty good route runner, in my opinion. It's too valuable for me to pass on if I'm the Niners. 59 for the Texans, got Peter Woods and Blake Miller, pair of Clemson Tigers. We are going to go ahead and hop off that train, though, at this pick, and we are going to take. I think I'm going to go Josiah Trotter right here. I love the upside. I think he could learn a lot from Alshire, but then hopefully replace Alshire once it's time to pay him because you have plenty of other bigger players to pay, like potentially Will Anderson, which of course you will, but even CJ Stroud, even if he keeps playing at the level, if you want to keep him, that's probably 45, $50 million in today's league. So we're going to go with Trotter here to replace Alshire. 60 for the Bears. Like Gabe Akis is similar to what you already have. Maybe considering your struggles, you go away from that and grab like a R. Mason Thomas who can just be an animal that gets after it as a pass rusher. You really don't have a guy this mold, so there's a clear role for him to be had. And yeah, just cut him loose on third downs. Your pressure rate last year sucked. You had, I think you were bottom five in sacks last year. So yeah, just get a dog that can get after it off the edge, even if he is undersized, arm length wise, and can't defend the run well. You have players that can already do that. 61 for the LA Rams. Got Omar Cooper Jr. via trade back. Got a third round pick, fifth round pick. Life's looking good for the Rams. I'm going to go ahead and pick up Kyle Lewis. He will forever be one of my favorite fits to the Rams in my mocks just to me makes way too much sense. I mean, there's your coverage linebacker that also gives you some versatility at safety if you have injuries or nickel potentially in certain sets. So it's like considering your linebackers' problems of coverage more so Omar Spates than Nate Landman, I think it makes a lot of sense for the Rams. 62, I'm going to stay on this pick probably also just a great fit. Grayson Halton's an animal a borderline top 50 grade for me. He's like 52 on my big board. So if he's here, the value checks out for me. It's a perfect John Franklin Myers replacement, in my opinion. Not as good as a run defender, but certainly as a pass rusher. I mean, he was an animal this past year at Oklahoma, 5 sacks off the interior, high win rate. Like Grayson Halton, I think, would be a perfect fit for Denver. 63 for the Patriots. Went off the wall with Emmanuel McNeil Warren. There's not really a project tackle I love. Caleb Tiernan could be that, but I'd much rather take Gabe Akis out of Illinois here to just add really another contributing edge rusher like you did with Draymond Jones this offseason. But also a long-term replacement because Draymond and Harold Landry are both like 29, 30-ish years old. 64 for the Seahawks. Got Zion Young at 38. I do want to help the secondary, and a player I mentioned a little bit ago that could have went to the Bears, I think will go here. And we win this two-round mock off with Jalen Kilgore, who I think can do similar stuff to where he's 6'1", 220. So if you want to move him full-time back to safety, you absolutely can. But he also has exceptional experience in the nickel and has played good football. And he's only 21. And you pair him back up with Nicky Memori, which is fun. So there you go. But yeah, man, that's going to be the two-round mock draft using Daniel Jeremiah's top 10. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And I'll be back tomorrow with my interior D-line rankings. So stay tuned.